What is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Lungile. Welcome to the Iron Out Podcast, a podcast about filmmaking and the business of film, TV, and advertising. I know it's been a long time, but I'm back. So my name is Lungile, if it's your first time here. And this podcast is all about sharing information. Okay, so today's episode is about running a business for 5 years. So I'm going to be talking about things that I've learned from running a video production business for 5 years, and I'm going to share my lessons, my tips, and things that I've learned. Okay, so looking back from when I started the business, one of the biggest lessons that I've learned is that when you're dealing with clients, you always need to make sure that you have payment milestones. So, for instance, if you work with a client and you want them to do something for them, make sure that they pay you in milestones. So, if a project has 3 phases, make sure they pay you at the end of each phase or at the beginning of each phase, so that if anything happens, a client goes bankrupt or they lose money or something happens, you would have gotten your money. You don't want to be the person who is constantly chasing money after you've delivered. This is a really, really big problem in terms of payments. And to mitigate that fact, you really need to focus and make sure your clients pay you in milestones, whether it's 25% each phase or 50-50 or whatever works for you, okay? The next thing is that when you're running a video production business, you need to have multiple hard drives. You know, the more projects you work on, the more space you need, and the more you need to even back up footage. You know, so one thing I've learned about running a video production business, you always need a ton of space. And while you're starting out, you cannot afford to buy a NAS server or big server or huge online storage. You're going to have to use hard drives. And what you're going to have to do is when you get a project, you duplicate the footage, you put it on 3 drives, you also duplicate your project file, and you make sure you have it in different places. So just in case one drive dies, you have the work and your progress. One thing you can do is save the footage on 3 drives and then save the project file also on 1 drive, and also save it online on the cloud or Google Cloud every time you work on a project. So if the drive dies, you know you still have the project. The next thing I want to talk about is that you need to have everything on paper. Everything that you discuss with client or your employees, you need to have it on paper. You need to have a contract, you have a letter of engagement. Even when you have a phone call with the client, when they're giving you changes, make sure that you email them back what they said to you on the phone and say, hey, I just wanted to do a catch up from our discussion. These are the changes that you want. If these are the changes you want, just confirm, just so that we have a paper trail and we can track down the decision tree in terms of the production process. So really have everything on paper, have contracts for everyone, your suppliers, your freelancers, have a contract for everything. You know, if it's not on paper, it does not exist. This will come and bite you back really, really hard, okay? The next thing is you need to have a business account. Okay, so you need to have a business account for the business and an account for yourself, where you pay yourself a salary. This is good to keep things separate so you can see how much money the business is making. It's going to also help you in terms of tax time so that you know you can file your taxes for yourself personally and file the taxes for your business separately. And it just helps to separate the transaction, so when tax times comes, you don't struggle, or when you get an accountant, you don't struggle too much, okay? The next thing I want to talk about is that you need to be risk tolerant. You know, yes, you need to make calculated risks, but like running a business is a big risk, and you need to make a lot of calculated risks. You need to have a risk stamina. And you need to be ready. And sometimes to mitigate that risk is that you probably have to like live below your means and make sure you have a runway for your business. So when I mean a runway, you need to have money for like your expenses for like 2 or 3 months or even 6. So that if anything happens, you know your bills are still covered. So risk is a big thing, but it has a very big upside. Yes, running a business can be up and down in terms of workflow, in terms of revenue, but it has a very huge upside in terms of how much money you can actually make. Another thing is you need to experiment. Some things you're going to try, they're not going to work, but you need to consistently experiment in terms of the way that you market, in terms of the way that you sell, in terms of the way you do stuff for client. And you really need to try different things out, because if you're doing one thing for like weeks and weeks and you're getting the same results, that's not really going to help you. So you're going to have to experiment on things that you've never even thought of trying ever before. Okay. Another thing is you're going to have to do a review every week of all the things that you've been trying to do for your business, whether it's your sales goals, how many people you reach out to, how many projects you've worked on, what you can improve on. You need to do this every week. You review like everything that has been happening in your business, write it down, even if you're by yourself, and then review it every week. And then as you go into the next week, you need to review and say, how are you going to do things better? What can you improve, and always be improving processes and ways that you do things in your business. Reviewing really helps you in terms of your revenue goals, in terms of just keeping perspective of where your business is, the health of your business, and stuff like that. Stuff like goals and where you want to be. Okay, so it's really important for you to do a review each and every week. After running a business for a while, I really learned something that, business is broken into 5 segments, which is sales, marketing, operations, HR, and finance. So all 5 of these things are really, really, really important. So you really have to try and master all of them while you're still starting, before you've grown your business and you've hired a lot of people, okay? So the first thing is going to be sales. You really need to learn how to sell. You really need to get out there so you can get clients, because without sales, you get no revenue. You need to read books about selling. You need to have a company profile. You need to have a show reel. Sometimes it's good to even have different show reels for different work that you do. Like I have a show reel for commercials, for TV shows, for ads, for corporate videos. So I have different reels so that if I'm looking for a client who's looking for commercial work, I can send them my commercial reel. You really need to read a lot about sales. You need to learn how to negotiate. You need to learn to talk about money. And you can also do this by reading books or listening to audiobooks or listening to even creative business podcasts or podcasts about sales. Sales is a very fundamental aspect of running a business. And it's not easy, but you really need to learn it, especially if you're still alone and you're still by yourself. The next thing is marketing. You're going to have to market your business like crazy. You're going to learn how to market, whichever way you want to, whether it's SEO marketing, YouTube content, or podcasts, or social media, or you have to speak at events to market your business. You just can't run away from marketing. You need to have processes for all the things that you do in terms of marketing. HR, you need to start building a supplier base of people that you might hire. Maybe if you do hire people, whether it's interns or employees, you need to always know how the HR stuff is going. You need to have like documents for all the processes in your company. You need to have a hiring system, a firing system, a way to review employees' performances. It's a lot of work, guys. And another thing that you really need to keep tabs on is finances. This is the last part of the segment. You need to learn about taxes. If you've never filed a VAX return or done a VAT return, you need to learn. You need to speak to accountants, and you need to learn how to handle your taxes. You need to know what your burn rate for your business is. You need to know what PAYE is. And these things you can learn. You just need to watch videos and learn as much as you can, or talk to your accountant. You got to learn what PAYE is, annual returns, because this admin stuff can get really pile up and deter your business from getting really good opportunities. You really need to have your taxes straight and done and up to date. And it's a consistent thing. You need to know your finances. You need to do your admin, and you need to know where you are in terms of your business. And you need to have learn about financial statements, financial projections, what your burn rate is, and things like that. This really helps you in terms of running your business. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope this is not too detailed or not too vague. If you like this content, please hit the like button. If you listen to this on YouTube, if you're listening to this on a podcast, whether it's iTunes or Spotify, please leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you guys, and follow us and share this content. Maybe it will help someone else. I mean, yeah, this is just my lessons that I've learned from running a business for the last 5 years. I hope this is helpful, and I'm looking forward to making more content and making more consistent podcast content. Hope you guys are good, and I hope this is helpful. I'll see you guys in the next podcast. Peace out.